morning, Madam Kanaga and Paul Malasaifu and Tani Chen. I will present the title Green Product Attribute and Green Purchasing Behavior among Consumers in Malaysia. As we all know, pollution was among the harmful features of environmental degradation, and this has become a pressure issue faced by all the people in the world. Environment pollution can be affected by plastic waste, urban mining, river or sea environmental damage and deforestation. Due to this problem, environment grows to be worsening day by day. All the people need to pay particular attention to them and take proactive countermeasures to limit the repeat growth of environmental pollution because it may become a global trend. According to the plastic waste trend statistic, Malaysia has dramatically increased the amount of plastic waste imported by 68% within these past 3 years from 2016 to 2018. It can be explained that the more plastic imported in Malaysia, the more consumers will spend as many as possible, and it is also significant obstacle that cause environmental pollution. Besides, in these few years, the sea pollution has become more and more serious due to humans' selfishness and convenience to throw the plastic and even chemical raw material into the sea. And it will cause marine organisms to eat this plastic into their stomach and even cause them to have difficulty breathing and eventually die. The purpose of this research is to investigate the demographic factor that could influence the consumer purchasing behavior. This study also examined the awareness of green product and environment knowledge from the customer perspective. Last, this research also determined the factor that influence the consumer willing to pay for a green product. Therefore, this slide shows the framework for this research. The framework was established to study the relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable. The independent variable shows in the framework are demographic factor, awareness of environment knowledge, green product awareness, product attribute, environment attitude, and social influence. These independent variables are known to be factors that will affect the dependent variable, which is the purchasing behavior of green products among the consumers in Malaysia. In this research, the researchers have developed two hypotheses for each independent variable, whether they have a significant relationship with the dependent variable or no significant relationship with dependent variable. As for the research methodology part, this research had used the descriptive research design and sufficient literature from previous researchers to identify the factors influence the consumer purchasing behavior toward green products in Malaysia. Besides, this research also used quantitative research to collect the data. Not only that, the primary data and secondary data are collections methods used in this research. The primary data, which is the surveys for this study, was conducted by providing a questionnaire to the relevant respondent. However, the questionnaire was also distributed through the internet and was distributed to 300 relevant respondents. While the secondary data was conducted by gathering data from previous study and used them for the part of framework and literature review. The data analysis method in this research enveloped descriptive analysis, frequency analysis, Fusion correlation coefficients, multiple regression analysis, reliability tests, and pilot tests. The results from this analysis were calculated through the statistic package for social science, which called SPSS. The results were obtained from SPSS software. The researchers has conducted the pilot test, which randomly chose 20 respondents from the questionnaire to test the reliability. From the figure in the slide, we can see that the pilot test for 20 respondents was 0.916. They are 36 items has been tested, consisting of 6 independent variables and 1 independent variable. It means that the test for 20 respondents had been proved to have strong correlations for all items. Secondly, the research was continued with frequency analysis and descriptive analysis. Frequency analysis has been used in the demographic profile of the respondent. The result of demographic profile shows in the number and percentage of respondents for each rating, and it shows in the table form and chart. Descriptive analysis displays the mean and standard deviation of all variables in table format. Next, the fourth analysis that was being used in the Fusion correlations analysis. It was used to examine the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. From the result of SPSS software, the highest value of correlations was the independent variable green product awareness with the value of 0.99. Meanwhile, the lowest correlation coefficient value was the independent variable social influence, which has a value of 0.933. The correlation value for 6 independent variables are more than 0.9, and it could be summarized as it has a positive relationship with the dependent variable. The figure shows the reliability test of 6 independent variables and the dependent variable for 300 respondents. There were 31 independent variable questions and 5 dependent variable questions. Alpha of these questions was about 0.994. The result from these questions was shown to be successful and consistent. The higher alpha value was 0.979 with 5 items, which are independent variable awareness of environment knowledge, while the lowest alpha value was 0.927 with 5 items, which are independent variable product attribute and environment attitude. From the result of SPSS above, the alpha value of all variables for each contract is more than 0.9, which has a strongly positive interlinker. SPSS software also come out the result of multiple regression analysis. The result of the model summary distributed the relationship between the dependent variable and independent variable. The correlation coefficient value was 0.996, which means that there was a strong relationship between the variable. Therefore, the value of the determinant R-squared coefficient was 0.992, which indicated that 99.2% of the factors influenced the purchasing behavior among consumers were from the independent variable. The remaining 0.4% were influenced by the other factor. ANOVA is one of the multiple regression analyses that have been analyzed by the SPSS. ANOVA helped this research to either reject the null hypothesis or accept the alternative hypothesis. Therefore, as indicated in the table, ANOVA shows the probability level of significant value was 0.0, which was lower than 0.05. It means that this research could reject the null hypothesis because the significant level of the regression model is less than 0.05. The multiple regression analysis coefficients shows a significant level of each independent variable. The significant level for 5 independent variables was shown to be 0.0, which was less than 0.05, and it could have rejected the null hypothesis. In contrast, the table shows that the significant level of independent variable social influence was more than 0.05, which was 0.273. Therefore, the multiple regressions analysis can be assumed that social influence has not significant relationship with the consumer's purchasing behavior toward the green product in Malaysia. The researchers rejected the alternative hypothesis and accepted the null hypothesis. All the result was analyzed by SPSS software, and all the independent variable has a strong relationship with the dependent variable. 5 independent variable has a significant relationship with the dependent variable. However, one independent variable shows not significant relationship with the dependent variable and rejected the hypothesis. From the discussion mentioned just now, 3 objectives has been successful achieved in this research. The first objective, which is to investigate the demographic profile, could influence the consumer purchasing behavior. 2 hypotheses developed by the researchers, but one of them was rejected. After the data has been analyzed, the researcher accepted the alternative hypothesis, which is monthly income level or pocket money could influence the purchasing behavior toward the green product. This is because consumers are from different occupations with different salary, and income dominated their quality of life. Besides, the expenses for single and married consumers could be different, and their purchasing behavior is affected. This is because single consumers are willing to purchase green products due to fewer expenses than married consumers. This may cause married consumers to look for low price products rather than quality and healthy products, even if they instead all are willing to support green products. Therefore, the researchers accepted the alternative hypothesis. For another hypothesis, the researchers had rejected the null hypothesis, which is gender could be affected the consumer purchasing behavior. It means that all consumers have the probability of purchasing green products regardless of gender. For the second objective, the researchers was conducted on green product awareness and environment knowledge on the customer perspective. Through multiple regressions analysis, 2 independent variables in the second objective has been achieved. The first was the awareness of environment knowledge, and the researchers has accepted the alternative hypothesis, which is significant with the dependent variable. It is because consumers with high consciousness and concern about the environment problem were willing to pay more and willing to purchase the green product, and it is proved by previous study. The level of people toward environmental concern is associated with their interest and despite to purchase green product. The result from the SPSS shows that it has a significant relationship with the dependent variable for the awareness of green product. From the previous study, consumers were willing to purchase green product by judging various criteria such as environment protections, quality, and safety. Positive awareness of green product envelop an interest in paying extra for green product or service. Therefore, the consumer green product awareness could influence their purchasing behavior. In the third objective, the 3 independent variables were analyzed by SPSS, and 2 independent variables has a significant relationship with the dependent variable. Product attribute was one of the independent variables in the third objective. The positive result was supported by previous study, which state that compatibility of the product was considered when the consumer make their purchase. Besides, attribute or packaging of the product play a vital role in the market, while the market need to pay more attention. The second independent variable was environment attitude, which ultimately a significant relationship with the dependent variable. It is because when consumer has a favored attitude toward green product activity, They were willing to spend for green product, even though the price of the green product was high. Besides, from the previous study, agreed that there has a positive correlation between environment attitude and consumer purchasing behavior. The last independent variable, which was a social influence in the third objective, has been optimal a significant negative relationship with the dependent variable. The previous work assumes that the consumer may share less about the environmental problem and share the green product with their friends. However, it was explained by previous study that social has indirectly and not significant effect on green purchase behavior. Therefore, it indicated that the consumer purchasing behavior to a green product could not be affected by the social. However, there are some limitations when conducting this research. Time constraint was one of the limitations when conducting this research. The researchers has only about 3 months to collect the data from the respondent and analyze the data. Limitations of locations and method of doing surveys was one of the limitations as well. Due to pandemic, the surveys method used by the researchers was more on the online platform and place was more focused on the consumers who in the Malacca. The researchers was also unable to ensure that the respondent had understood the questions and was unable to ensure the accuracy of data. Last but not least, a few suggestions may be recommended for the researchers to conduct similar research for the future. Firstly, the researchers suggest that future studies should consider more stage and country because respondents from different background or environment has different attitude and concern toward environmental issue and green product. Besides, future study may use the qualitative method to get more understanding of the consumer perspective. Lastly, the future researchers can use one-to-one communication. It can avoid the misunderstanding of the respondent when answering the question, and it can ensure the accuracy of the data. These suggestions can solve the limitations that have been shown in the previous section. In conclusion, this research has fulfilled its main objective in recognizing the relationship between demographic profile, environment knowledge awareness, green product awareness, product attribute, environmental attitude, and social influence, eventually with factors that influence the purchasing behavior of green product among consumers in Malaysia. As a result, 5 independent variables has a positive relationship with the purchasing behavior toward green product, and 1 independent variable has a negative relationship with the dependent variable and rejected by the researcher. Last but not least, this research also discussed the limitations and provided some recommendations to future researchers interested in doing similar research. That's all for me. Thank you.